She only tried on the ring for fun. But the moment it touched her skin, the lights flickered. The air turned cold. And a voice whispered behind her. "You finally called me, wife." She turned around. And saw him. Tall. Beautiful. Inhuman. And smiling like he owned her soul. Chapter 1, The Ring That Chose Her. It started with rain. Not the gentle kind that tapped windows and soothed restless thoughts, but a fierce, silver storm that lashed the streets of New Orleans like it was trying to wash the entire city away. Alara Morgan ran, her thin coat soaked through in seconds, the hem of her dress clinging to her legs. She didn't know where she was going, only that she needed to get away. From her phone. From her life. From the voicemail her ex had left 2 hours ago telling her he was marrying someone else. She turned down a narrow side street, one she'd never noticed before. The buildings here were older, forgotten by time, their windows shuttered and vines creeping up their sides like ghosts trying to reclaim them. That's when she saw it. A crooked sign swinging in the wind. Vermilion Antiques. She almost kept walking, but some strange pull, made her stop. The shop looked like a place that had existed before the city itself. The display window was fogged, but inside, she could see shelves cluttered with things that didn't belong together: typewriters, porcelain dolls, tarnished mirrors. And in the middle of it all, a ring box, sitting under a single beam of golden light. Her fingers twitched. The bell above the door jingled as she pushed it open. The scent hit her first: aged paper, faded perfume, and something darker, deeper, like old smoke and forgotten promises. The shop was silent except for the creak of the floorboards beneath her feet. Dust swirled in the air, illuminated by slanted rays of sunlight. Everything about the place felt wrong, and yet, oddly familiar. Then she saw it. A black velvet box resting atop a pedestal at the back of the shop. It wasn't locked. It wasn't guarded. It simply waited. Drawn by a force she didn't understand, Alara stepped forward. Her fingers hovered over the lid for a moment, her pulse quickening. When she opened it, she gasped. The ring inside was stunning, and strange. It was a man's wedding band, thick and obsidian dark, with intricate carvings that shimmered like ancient runes. In its center sat a single stone, deep crimson, as if a drop of blood had been captured in glass. And it was warm. Alara frowned, glancing around. "Hello," she called, but the shop was empty. No clerk. No sound. Not even the hum of electricity. She looked back down. The ring practically begged her to try it on. With a half laugh, half sigh, she whispered, "Well, it's not like anything else in my life is going right." She slid the ring onto her finger. And the world changed. The shop disappeared in an instant. The floor beneath her vanished. For a moment, there was only darkness, thick and swallowing. Then, fire. It flared to life around her, not burning her, but illuminating walls of stone and obsidian, twisted chandeliers overhead, tapestries that shimmered like they were alive. And a voice. Finally, it said. "My bride awakens." She spun, heart pounding in her throat. He stood at the top of a black marble staircase, hands in his pockets, smirking like a devil who knew exactly what he was worth. Tall. Dressed in an impossibly well-fitted black suit. Skin pale like carved ivory. Hair midnight dark. And eyes, God, his eyes, like molten silver set ablaze. He moved with the grace of something not bound by gravity, like shadows clung to him out of worship, not force. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Ah," he said, descending a step at a time. The classic mortal question. He stopped before her, close enough that the heat coming off his body made her skin tingle. "I go by many names," he murmured, brushing a knuckle across her cheek. "But you may call me Dante." Alara flinched, stepping back. "What the hell is this? Where am I?" "A place between," he said smoothly. "Between your world and mine." You called me, Alara. I didn't. Oh, but you did, he interrupted, voice low and dangerous. The moment you wore the ring. That was the vow. That was the bond. She tried to yank the ring off her finger. It wouldn't budge. What do you want? She asked, voice shaking. He leaned in, lips brushing her ear. Something I've been denied for centuries, he whispered. Something only a mortal heart can give. Power, she guessed. My soul? He smiled. No. I've had plenty of those. What I want now, he stepped back, letting his eyes trail down her body. Is love. Alara stared at him like he'd just spoken in tongues. You summoned me for love? Are you insane? Perhaps, he said with a lazy shrug. But make no mistake. I am your husband now. And until you give me what I crave, heart, soul, and every trembling inch in between, I'm not going anywhere. She ran. Of course she ran. But the moment she pushed open the door of the antique shop and stepped out into the world again, everything was wrong. The sky was still gray, but the rain had stopped. The street was empty. Her phone showed no service. And when she looked at the ring again, it glowed faintly, like an ember waiting to ignite. She had summoned a demon. And now, he wore her wedding ring. Chapter 2, The Devil in the Mirror. The days that followed felt like a dream Alara couldn't wake from. A beautiful, dangerous, maddening dream. She tried everything, ripping the ring off her finger, soaking it in salt water, even burying it in the freezer like some half-remembered ritual from an old movie. Nothing worked. The ring stayed. It didn't just cling to her flesh. It merged with it. Like it was no longer an object, but a part of her, bonded, fused, burned into her existence like a cursed wedding vow written in blood. And every time the sun fell, he came. Dante. The demon who claimed to be her husband. He never walked through doors. He didn't enter like humans did. He appeared, emerged from the shadows, from mirrors, from the flickering flames of her candles, with a smirk that made her skin burn and her thoughts betray her. You still don't believe it, he said one night, lounging in the chair across from her bed, legs crossed, fingers steepled. That's adorable. Alara sat with her knees drawn to her chest, wrapped in a blanket that did nothing to shield her from the weight of his gaze. You're not real, she said for the 5th time that night. You're just in my head. Dante chuckled, deep and rich, like molten chocolate laced with sin. Then by all means, darling, come test your theory. Touch me. She didn't move. Didn't need to. She could feel him. She felt him when she closed her eyes. When she dreamed. When her body turned restless under the sheets and she woke up gasping for breath with the scent of smoke and spice thick in the air. He was everywhere. And worst of all, he was patient. It was around day 3 when she noticed it. Her mirror had changed. It no longer reflected her the way it should. Her image lagged, slower than her movements, like her reflection was being dragged through water. Sometimes, she wasn't even alone in it. There, behind her shoulder, his outline would appear. Tall, dark, motionless. Watching her. Smiling. One night, unable to sleep, Alara lit a single candle and stared at her own reflection. Her skin looked pale. Her eyes, wider, more haunted. She was starting to doubt her own reality. Was this what madness felt like? Or was this what love meant to a demon? She closed her eyes. Go away, she whispered. Please. But instead of silence, she felt heat behind her. A hand, cool and solid, brushed her hair away from her neck. His voice was soft this time, a whisper meant only for her. If I could leave, I would have centuries ago. But I'm bound to the one who wears the ring. To the one fate chose for me. Fate, she laughed bitterly. You really think a cursed antique store is fate? Oh, my sweet mortal, he stepped in front of her, blocking the mirror. Nothing in that store happens by accident. He reached out and gently touched the hollow of her throat. Her breath hitched. "You think this is a curse," he said. "But I think it's a gift." She shoved his hand away. "You don't get to talk about gifts. You invaded my life. My body." His eyes flashed. For a moment, the polished civility dropped, and she saw something ancient behind them. Something dangerous. "You think you're the victim in this?" he growled. "Do you have any idea what it's like to be locked away for centuries? To scream in silence? To ache with hunger for something no soul would ever offer freely? Then why not take it?" she snapped. "If you're some powerful demon, why not just make me love you?" Dante stepped closer. The air thickened with heat. "Because forced love isn't love at all," he said lowly. "And I'm done with lies. I want something real. Something raw. I want to be chosen." His hand gently lifted her chin. His thumb brushed her bottom lip. "I want you to want me." Elara trembled. Every instinct screamed to pull away. But her body didn't move. Because somewhere beneath the fear and the fury, a tiny part of her did want him. And that terrified her more than anything else. The next day, she went back to the antique store. But it was gone. The building was still there, crumbling bricks and boarded windows, but the sign was missing. The shop was empty. Dust and decay filled the space like no one had stepped inside in decades. It didn't make sense. She wandered the aisles, searching for the pedestal, the ring box, anything. Nothing remained. Until she saw the mirror. It was propped in the back, half covered with a faded cloth. Her reflection was clear this time, no glitches, no shadows. Just her. Alone. She exhaled in relief. "Looking for me?" His voice echoed through the glass. And there he was, in the mirror, not behind her. Smiling. "You said you weren't real," she whispered. "I lied. You said you were bound to the ring." "I am. You said you needed my love." "And I do." His hand reached out through the mirror, slow, careful, fingertips brushing the glass. "But I won't take what's not freely given." Elara stared. "What happens if I never give it?" Dante's smile faded. "Then we spend eternity like this. You, mortal and craving freedom. Me, eternal and craving something far more dangerous." "What?" "Hope." That night, she dreamed of fire. But this time, she wasn't afraid. Dante stood in the center of the inferno, eyes on her, hand outstretched. And Elara, despite everything, reached for a chapter 3, the Bride of Flame. Elara didn't sleep the same after that dream. There was a hunger inside her chest now, a quiet, unbearable ache she didn't understand. It wasn't just fear anymore. It wasn't just the dread of having summoned something impossible. It was longing. She felt his presence even when he wasn't there. Like the echo of a song she couldn't stop humming. Like the memory of lips she hadn't kissed, but craved all the same. It wasn't right. But it was real. She stayed up the next night, waiting for him. The apartment was silent. The clock ticked like a heartbeat on the wall. She'd turned off all the lights. Only candles lit the room, soft, golden fire casting shadows across her skin. "I know you're there," she whispered. "I can feel you." And like he was answering a prayer, or a sin, he appeared. Dante. Not from the mirror this time. Not from the shadows. He stepped out of the fire. Tall, devastating, dark suit hanging loose on his frame like royalty. But tonight, something about him was different. Softer. His gaze was still intense, still searing, but not cruel. For once, he looked at her not like prey, but like something precious. "You waited for me." His voice was low, almost reverent. Elara stood slowly. Her silk nightgown clung to her curves, thin straps slipping from her shoulders. She didn't pull them up. She didn't hide. "You always come when I dream," she said. I thought I should stay awake. You're not afraid anymore. No, she breathed. I think I'm curious. He smiled, slow, wicked, beautiful. Dangerous thing to be around a demon, love. She moved closer, step by step, until only inches separated them. What do you really want from me? She asked. He didn't answer right away. He looked at her mouth. Her throat. Her chest rising with each breath. I want what I was denied for centuries, he said. I want to feel something real. I want warmth. I want fire that doesn't destroy. I want to be loved, not feared. But you are fear, she said. You're darkness. So are you, he whispered. I'm not. You don't see it, do you? He stepped closer. The shadows that cling to you. The pain you carry. The way your soul screams when you lie to yourself. He touched her chest, right over her heart. You and I were made from the same flame. She trembled. Not from terror. From how right his touch felt. So if I love you, she said, voice barely audible, what happens then? Then I'm free, he said. And so are you. Their lips collided like thunder. No hesitation. No restraint. It wasn't a kiss. It was a claiming. A surrender. Her fingers tangled in his dark hair, his mouth bruised her with need. His hands were everywhere, waist, thighs, back. Like he'd been waiting centuries to touch a body that finally said yes. And she let him. Because she was tired of pretending she didn't want this. Tired of lying to herself about the fire that bloomed in her chest every time he looked at her like that. He lifted her, carried her to the bed like she weighed nothing. This isn't a dream, she whispered, breathless. No, he said. This is a consequence. His mouth explored her skin like worship. Like she was holy. Sacred. And for the first time in her life, Alara felt adored. His lips traced down her throat, between her breasts, across her stomach. Every kiss was a vow. Every touch a secret. She arched under him, moaned his name like it was a spell. And when he finally sank into her, deep, slow, claiming her soul as much as her body, she shattered. The flames on the candles flared high. The mirror cracked. The ring on her finger glowed blood red. And somewhere in the darkness, something ancient awakened. Afterward, she lay tangled in his arms, breathless and dazed. He stroked her hair. Eyes fixed on the ceiling like he was waiting for something. What happens now? She asked softly. Now, he whispered, voice suddenly grim, they know. She frowned. Who? He looked at her then, truly looked. And for the first time, she saw fear in his eyes. The ones who cursed me. The ones who chained me to the ring. The ones who wanted to make sure I never loved again. Why? Because love is the only thing stronger than damnation, he said. And they knew that if I ever found it, I could break free. Alara's pulse quickened. Free to do what? His silence answered everything. He stood. The shadows around him lengthened. His body shimmered, smoke trailing his fingertips. You think I'm darkness, he said. But you've only seen a glimpse of what I used to be. What were you? He turned to her, eyes glowing like embers. A prince of hell. The floor vibrated beneath her. And now that you've given me your love, his smile was no longer soft. Now that you've let me in. The mirror shattered. I remember who I am. Alara gasped as black fire bloomed in the room. Symbols carved themselves into the walls, sigils and languages she didn't know but somehow felt. And in the center of the storm stood Dante. No longer the charming stranger. No longer the cursed groom. But a demon king, reborn in flame and vengeance. You gave me what they feared most, he said. Now I'll give you what they never wanted you to have. He extended his hand. A throne beside mine. Chapter 4, The Infernal Vow. Alara stood barefoot in the center of her apartment, but it no longer looked like home. The walls were covered in ancient sigils, pulsing faintly red like veins of molten lava. The air was thick, warm, and heavy, charged with something otherworldly. A thick scent of smoke and roses clung to everything. The bed where she and Dante had joined no longer existed. In its place stood a black throne carved from obsidian, flames licking the base like it was born from the core of the earth. And in that throne sat him. Dante. Changed. His black suit now hung like ceremonial armor. His eyes glowed faintly gold, a halo of fire crowning his dark head. And his aura, no longer quiet or cursed, was royalty. He wasn't hiding anymore. He was Hell's prince, and now, the world knew it. "You should sit beside me," he said, voice calm but commanding. Alara stood frozen, one hand still clutched to the ring on her finger. "What happened to you?" she whispered. "You," he said with a smirk. "We happened. You completed the bond. You gave me what they sealed away from me. Now I remember everything." She stepped closer, her heart hammering. "You mean, you remember being cursed?" His eyes darkened. "Yes. I was betrayed by the ones I called my brothers. Lords of the Nine Hells. They envied me because I felt things they couldn't. I loved a mortal once before, and for that, they said I was weak. What did they do? They made me forget her. Stripped me of my name, my power, my soul. Bound me to this ring. Trapped me in a cycle of hunger and madness, until someone brave enough wore it again." He looked at her, gaze softening. "Until you." Alara swallowed. "And now what? You're free?" "Not yet. Not completely. Love awakened me. But freedom requires a vow." She blinked. "A vow?" "A union," he said. "You're not just wearing a cursed ring, Alara. You've accepted me. Your soul touched mine in that bed. But to break the seal that binds my true self, we have to finish the bond." He stood and walked toward her, the flames dimming in his wake. "Marry me, Alara." The words hit like thunder. She took a step back. "What? No. No, I can't, this is too much. You're a demon. A king of hell. I'm just—" "You're not just anything," he said, voice low and hungry. "You're the first person who saw me, and didn't run. I was going to run. But you didn't." He cupped her cheek, his touch surprisingly tender. "Say yes. Say yes, and I'll give you a kingdom, eternity, power beyond imagination. You'll be my queen. My equal. Not just a pawn in a cursed game." "And if I say no?" she asked. His hand fell away. His eyes shuddered. "Then the curse begins again. I go back to sleep, chained in fire, waiting for another soul. But I'll remember you this time. I'll remember what it felt like to be loved. And I'll never forgive myself for letting you go." She looked around the room, this distorted version of her home. This new world bleeding into hers. Could she do it? Could she really marry a demon? But the truth was, she already loved him. Somewhere in the touch of his hands. In the way he looked at her like she was both salvation and sin. She loved him. Deeply. Desperately. And terrifyingly, she didn't want to let him go. "What happens if I say yes?" she asked, voice trembling. "You become mine," he said. "Not in chains. In soul. In power. You'll see what lies beneath the surface of this world. You'll rule beside me. They'll try to stop you, but they can't break what's sealed by love." He knelt before her, a demon king, on his knees for a mortal girl. "I've waited 500 years, Alara. Don't make me wait longer." Her heart raced. Her fingers brushed the ring. And softly, breathlessly, she said the word that would change everything. "Yes." The world exploded. Flames engulfed them, but they didn't burn. they danced. Golden chains of light spun from her ring, wrapping around Dante's arms, his chest, his throat, before shattering into dust. The air trembled. A howl echoed from somewhere far below, like hell itself had been shaken. And in the silence that followed, the crown appeared on her head. It wasn't gold. It wasn't silver. It was made of shadows and flame. A queen's mark forged in passion, defiance, and fate. Dante rose and kissed her, slow and reverent. "You're mine now," he whispered. "And I am forever yours." But peace didn't last. That night, she dreamed of fire again, but it wasn't Dante's. It was war. 9 thrones. 9 kings. And one empty seat, burning brighter than all the rest. In her dream, she stood before them in her new crown. And the demons who had cursed Dante, his brothers, looked at her with rage. "She is mortal," one snarled. "She is power," said another. "She cannot sit on the 9th throne." And from the shadows, a voice hissed. "Then she must die." Alara woke with a scream. Dante was already standing, looking out the window, fists clenched. "They know," he said without turning. "The others. Your brothers. They felt the vow. Felt the bond break." His jaw tightened. "They'll come for us now. What do we do?" He turned to her. "We fight." Chapter 5, Hellbound. The sky split open that morning. Alara watched from the balcony of the infernal palace as crimson lightning arced across the heavens. The air trembled with heat and fury. The realm between worlds had opened. The lords of hell were coming, and they were not coming to talk. Behind her, Dante stood tall and still, clad in blackened armor veined with fire. A massive sword, curved like a scythe forged in a star's heart, hung on his back. His face was carved in steel. Alara turned to him. Her voice shook. "They're already here, aren't they?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Because the ground itself began to quake and the 9 kings of hell arrived. They didn't walk. They appeared, like thoughts that bent reality. Each one different. One rode a beast made of smoke and bone, eyes glowing green with envy. Another hovered, suspended in chains that screamed when he moved. A third wore robes made of human tongues, whispering lies that made Alara's skin crawl. They were terrifying. And they were all staring at her. "The mortal queen," hissed the one made of ice. "The girl who wears the 9th flame." "She is unworthy," spat another. "The 9th throne belongs to no one. Especially not to her." Dante stepped forward, his voice thunder. "She is more than worthy. She chose me. She freed me. She completed the vow. You cannot break what's already sealed." "We can destroy her," said the eldest. "The seal may hold you, but not her." Alara raised her chin. Her fear coiled like a serpent in her stomach, but she stood tall. "You cursed your own brother because he felt love. And now you're afraid of what I'll become." "We're afraid of what you already are," said the one with 3 mouths. "The queen of a broken line. The heart of a demon king. A weapon wrapped in soft skin." "Then why talk?" she challenged. "Why not strike?" A silence fell. And then,